Hello everyone, this is Dr. Rachita Misra speaking to you. And today in our software engineering course, we will look into the topic of Kanban method and we will see how it fits our agile software development. The topics that we will cover is the origin of Kanban, what are the Kanban practices, and how the Kanban can be mapped to the agile development. So what is Kanban method? Kanban was introduced by a Japanese person called by the name of Taichi Ono in the manufacturing industry. He was working for Toyota for just-in-time inventory management. So now you must be wondering, what is just-in-time inventory management? So when there is a production unit which is manufacturing some large equipment or some goods, then they have a kind of a assembly line. So they have multiple workstations where materials get into it, and some component come out and go to the next one. So what happens is many times the inventory gets blocked in this line of workstations. The inventory gets blocked. So if you have just in time, what it means is that only when it is required it will come. The inventory will get pulled up whenever it is required, otherwise it will be zeroed inventory at any workstation at any point of time. So this is a very good concept in the quality management, or rather in the total quality management of any production house. So what does Kanban stand for? Kanban is actually in Japanese language. It is it is called, it is the meaning. It means signboard or a billboard. So some kind of a board where you can put up some signs or some bills, like in a shopping mall or in our office we put up notices. So, and Kanban is a lean approach to process quality improvement. So, when you say lean approach, that means the opposite is fat. So, we are not creating a fat approach, but we are trying to make it lean. That means we are trying to create as little as material in different places. So, that is what is lean quality. So, the just in time actually supports this lean movement, and it improves the work across the systems by balancing demands with the available capacity and handling of system level bottlenecks. So what are these systems? This is the workstations that I was talking about. In a manufacturing unit, the raw material comes from one side and it gets worked in one station and another station. Maybe more stations are there parallelly, components are getting done, and then it is going and getting assembled. So these are different systems or workstations where some production is happening. So when the work material is moving from one system to another system to another system, that is across systems, then we have to balance two things. One is the demand and the other is capacity. But the capacity of the workstations are fixed, whereas the demand could be increasing or decreasing. So that is a balance that always in a manufacturing has to be done. And also there may be some problem for which some work is stopped, and so the system is not moving, the material is not moving. So this Kanban approach of doing the lean approach actually handles all these kind of issues, balancing demands against the capacity and also handling of bottlenecks. So this kind of approach was there for a long time in the total quality management implementations in the manufacturing industries. In 2004, a gentleman in the name of David J. Anderson, he extended the work of Tai Chi, and some other quality leaders like Goldratt, Demings, and Peter Drucker. And he defined what is the Kanban method. He extended this Kanban that was meant for the manufacturing and gave it the name as Kanban method, and he made it adaptable to software development. Not only software development, information technology also, and any other knowledge organizations. And he created this. He started this pulling system. He brought in the concept of pull systems, the queuing theory, and the workflow. So these three things he tried to merge into the Kanban concept of Tai Chi, and he started making it Kanban method, which can be applicable to the software. The Kanban board, that is the central part of the Kanban method. The Kanban board provides a view of work progress by visualizing work items from start to finish. So now we can think of the software development. So you can think of the software development like a manufacturing unit. So wherein the material that goes in instead of the raw material, we have requirements that is going in, and at the end of it, at the assembly line, we have what is going out is the deliverable software, which can be used by the customers. So in between, we are doing many activities. The output of one activity is going to the input as the input to the next activity, and so on. So there also we can think of our development life cycle phases that we have discussed earlier as something like a workstations, where we are converting some item to another item. For example, in the requirement analysis, we are taking the description, problem description, and we are converting it into the requirement specification. And similarly, in the design activity, we are taking the requirement into consideration as the input, the specification, and that is being analyzed and converted into design models. So what is coming out is the design document, which is consisting of so many the architecture and the so many models that we are doing. And then we have the construction unit. So that way we have many assembly units. So when you have when you try to implement the Kanban concept on a software development, so what is used is the Kanban board is used, which provides a view of work progress by visualizing work items from start to finish. Conventionally, work is pushed to a system as per request of or a plan. So if you think of in a conventional way, the manufacturing or even the software development, there will be some plan. Based on that, either the production will happen or the software will be created. So it is a pushing kind of system. We push the demand into the system. The people are working on those systems. And what happens is this kind of pushing can create some idleness. That means somewhere somewhere down the line the capacity has exceeded. So whatever has been produced in the previous phases or the previous workstation, there some idleness is coming. They are waiting for them to complete and they will go there. So there can be idleness and choking in the system pipeline. In the pipeline of work, there will be either idleness or there will be a choking. In Kanban, work is pulled as capacity permits. So what Kanban says, because it's a lean method, it doesn't want anything to be choking or idle. So he says that don't push, but you try to pull as the capacity permits. So if you don't have capacity, then don't pull. Don't bring in extra work. You bring in as much work as the capacity allows you to do. And this is done by reducing the work in progress. So we will see how it is done in the Kanban method. So what is work in progress? Work in progress means it is not a complete deliverable, but some intermediate. So whatever is work in progress is something that we call in the software terminology, we call it intermediate work product. And in the case of manufacturing, they call it work in progress. The Kanban method provides a set of principles for visualizing the work, delivering products and services continuously, and also getting customer feedback more often and with greater speed. So by using this Kanban principle or the method, what we can do, we have certain principles there. Now those help us in visualizing, delivering, and also getting the customer feedback. And this we can get more frequently, more often, more frequently, and with greater speed. So as you can see that in Agile also we talked of similar kind of things. We also talked of delivering product services continuously. Instead of continuously, we said incrementally. And we also talked of customer feedback, and also we talked of great speed. So Kanban got acceptance in the IT service, the information technology area, the operations, that is your work, the computer centers or cloud centers, then the DevOps, where you have the development and the operation together, and it is a continuous operation, it is a continuous service of development and operations, and also some application and software teams somewhere around 2004. And what triggered it? Because Microsoft adopted this Kanban method. So because Microsoft adapted it and they got a lot of success out of it, so all the other vendors and the companies who were related, who were doing related services or development or operations, they also got interested in it. So Kanban is not a management framework such as Scrum. So Scrum we have seen is the agile, it follows the agile principle, but it gives a management framework. But what is the purpose? The purpose of Kanban is to continually improve one's own work process. So this process of pulling the work, balancing it, and not creating any work in progress, making it lean. So that is what is the main aim of Kanban. So that is, you have to continuously improve your own work process so that you can make it lean without any work in progress. So you also reduce the cost because of this. It is used as a way to implement lean and agile principles. In the software, we are thinking of the leanness and the agile principle. So let us look at the Kanban practices. Now that we understand what is Kanban, let us look at how Kanban is implemented. What are the fundamental practices that they follow? So they have actually 6 practices defined in the Kanban method, out of which 2 are very relevant for the software development, that is the visualization of your work and limit of work in progress. And there are 4 additional practices, that is make policy explicit. It should be declared so that everybody will know what are your policies. Manage the flow, the way the work flows from one place to the other place to the other place until it is completed. Then implement feedback loops, how to create the feedback loops, and improve collaboratively and also evolve experimentally. So you have to have courageously, you need to do new ideas, new experiments, and improve your process, and also collaboration is one of its main principles or practice. So let's look at it one by one. So what is visualization of the flow of work? So as we said, the central part of the Kanban is the Kanban board. Now, using this Kanban board, because Kanban itself stands for the billboard or a signboard. So the board is the main central part of the Kanban method. By using this, one can visualize the process steps that are currently used to deliver work or services. It's like a snapshot of all the steps, all the tasks, all the processes that are going, and at what stage they are, what is being delivered from each one. So what is the current status of this of those process steps, which will finally deliver the work or the services. Kanban board can be very simple or it can be very elaborate also. It depends on the particular context in which they are used, the particular area in which we are trying to put the Kanban method, that has to be visualized under the Kanban board. So it can be simple as well as very elaborate. The columns delineating workflow, activities, and can also depict policies. So there are some columns in it, and each column will create boundaries for the activities. So the workflow, each column will denote the activity, And from left to right, you can say that it is a workflow between the activities. So when we say delineating, that means it is creating a boundary. And also it can depict the policies for each activity. What is the kind of way we will carry out these activities? When we say policies, that means certain rules or guidelines. If it can have different swim lanes, apart from the columns, it will have swim lanes, one for each class of service or for each work type, item type. So swim lanes are rows crossing several columns used for grouping user stories by feature. So what is user stories? We talked of user stories in the agile method in Scrum. So they are equivalent to some kind of requirements, and they are written by the customer, and they are having a goal, an objective, and a particular functionality, and they are also telling what is the value of that. That means what is the business value, what will be the advantage by uh, implementing that user story. So either by user stories we can do it, or by features. If we say that features is our start point instead of user stories, then by features we can group them. So a set of because the columns are denoting the activities or the features, so we can group them in the row. The aim is to make the general workflow and the progress of the individual items clear to all the participants and stakeholders. So it should be visualized in such a way, it should be created in such a way that the workflow will be visible, and it will be it will be visible in a very simplified way. And not only that the workflow will be visible, also the progress against it will be visible, and it will be visible to all participants, whether they are team members or customer site business members. Once you visualize your process, then you can visualize the current work that you and your team are doing. Since you have written down all your processes and tasks, then you can see where you are. So that is the current work where each one is doing. So this is an illustration of the Kanban board, which has been taken from the Wikipedia. Shows the software development workflow on a Kanban board. So we have here some pool of ideas that users have taken. So this is one column. From here, some of the ideas get converted to feature preparation. So in the feature preparation, these ideas can be picked up, and they can elaborate it more. So there will be some in progress, and some things will be already ready. So they will be coming to the ready stage to go into the feature selection, and some will be discarded. So out of these ideas, some will be selected for moving in the workflow, but some will be discarded because of some feasibility issues maybe. So then so this is where you are elaborating it more, and you are also working out the feasibility of the feature. Then some feature will be selected. So once the feature is selected, each feature becomes one item, or here they have written it as epic. You can call it as a one item or one increment. So this increment will go through user story will be identified, user story preparation will be done. So again it will be in progress and ready. Then the development will be done, and the acceptance, that is the testing, will be done, and the deployment will be done. And once it is deployed, it will be delivered for use. So so if you see this way, it is a particular epic which is moving. So this is a swim lane. So this is a swim lane, whereas these are all the columns denoting. And against the columns, we have some policies. So what is the second one that we saw in the practice is limiting of the work in progress. So always there will be a limit. Limiting work in progress is fundamental to implementing Kanban using a pull system. So work in progress limiting actually helps this pull system concept. By limiting WIP, that is the work in progress, the team is encouraged to complete the work at hand before taking up new work. So you are focused on your work. You are not putting your mind to five things. You are forced to complete it and hand it over before you take the new work. When current work is completed and marked done, capacity is created. So that resource is free. So some capacity is created. When the capacity is created, new work can be pulled. So whoever has completed this work, they can be assigned new work. So they can start something new. It also communicates to the customer regarding limited capacity in a team, that they need to plan and prioritize the work for the teams. So because this team strength is always limited, so therefore we can only put limited amount of work at each workstation. So think of the team members doing some work as workstations. So you can only put a limited amount, a finite amount of work that they can handle. So only when that work is over, you can get more. So if you see this previous diagram, you can bring in something from here to here only after this travels and goes out. As long as this is in some pipeline somewhere, you cannot really bring it in. So this has to be completed before one more increment comes here. Okay, and here you can see the work limits. So here it is written WIP limit is 2 to 5. Here the WIP limit is 30. So that means at any point of time we can only have 2 to 5 features selected. That means we can have only 2 to 5 increments simultaneously were getting developed. If there are more, then we have to stop. We have to keep it awaiting in this stage. So in this diagram, the WIP limits are mentioned within circles below the header row. That's what we were seeing. And we see that deployment step has a WIP limit of 5, and there are currently 5 epics. No more work items can move into deployment until one or more epics move to the delivered. So here you are seeing that deployment is 5 and there are 5 here. So until and unless this deployment goes to the deliverable stage, delivered stage, these cannot move here. So even if this is completed, suppose this part is completed, all the 5 that are there in here are completed, even though then this cannot go. So what will happen to the resources who are here? They can be utilized in other activities. So we can see where is the bottleneck, where is the problem, and we can reassign them or we can replan them. So that is what we are saying. No more work item can move into deployment until one or more epics move to delivered. So the staff in the feature acceptance ready can be utilized for the development. Let's go to the third practice, that is managing flow. Kanban systems helps you to manage flow by highlighting the various stages of the workflow and the status of work in each stage. And the key aspect in this process is resolving and eliminating bottlenecks. So because we see that there's at some stages we have too many items and it is not moving forward. So we know that there is some problem here. So we have to diagnose that problem, and because it is visual, we can always see where it is getting, where the bottleneck is coming, where the capacity is trying to get exceeded. So to remove intermediate wait stages, so that if you remove the bottlenecks, there won't be intermediate wait stages. Just now we have seen that the 5 epics have gone to the deployment, and so the ready features are not able to go. So that's a bottleneck that has been created. In the previous diagram, attention will be focused on moving the 5 epics to the delivered. So here we know that it has reached its limit, so it has to move from the previous stage to the delivered stage. Reducing the time spent in these wait stages is the key to reducing the full cycle time. So as you improve your flow, your team's delivery of work becomes smoother and more predictable, and you take less cycle time. So your rapidity increases. So you can deliver the work much more rapidly, much more frequently. As the problems immediately gets noticed by all because of the visual nature of the board, the Kanban board, you can do the replanning. When you say replanning, there could be schedules, it could be resource allocation, whatever is the action you have to do, whatever plan was done, you can do the replanning, and you can do it continuously. Continuously means in very almost every day you have to keep checking it, and you have to keep tuning your plan. It improves the ability to forecast completion time reliably a big success of implementing a Kanban system. So one of the success of Kanban system is that the forecasting is more accurate. You can give a better accurate of the completion time. The next one is make process policies explicit. So what are policies? Policies can be defined at the board level, in the swimlane level, and also column. So we have seen in the diagram there were some policies written in the column level. So for example, in the diagram, there is a policy defined for several items in the columns. The policy for feature selection can be defined like this. Feature selection will be finalized by the product director at a specified meeting. So this is one policy that we are only taking as an example to understand what a policy is. So like that, either this policy can be attached to a column, or it can get attached to the swimlane, or it can be attached to the board level, complete level. At a lower level, one can have process guidelines, because we said policies are like rules and guidelines. So you can have guidelines, process guidelines, which creates a common basis for all participants to understand how to do any type of work in the system. So the communication increases, the clarity increases. There can be a checklist of steps to be done for each work item type. Policy may explicitly mention entry and exit criteria. So this is another thing that can be mentioned in the policy, that at what point you will say that a work product will enter a particular phase or an activity, and at what point it will exit that particular activity. What is the criteria? How will you determine that it is ready to exit? And how will you determine that everything that is required to enter into that activity is available to you? So that is called entry and exit criteria. So this entry and exit criteria for each column or each activity can be explicitly mentioned, and that is part of the policy. So any other thing apart from this which helps the team members to manage the flow can go into the policy, and it can be made explicit, it can be documented and published and made explicit to the full stakeholders. Now we come to the fifth one, which is implement feedback loops. This is again another thing that Agile looks for, and it is available in the Kanban policy. So Kanban method encourages and helps you to implement various feedback loops. What are the ruler loops? There could be review stages in your Kanban board workflow. So if you go to the diagram, you can put an activity like review. So that one column you can put. So, and also you can have some measurements as one of the activities. So you can create reports, or you can create metrics. And also you have the visual cues, because you are seeing it visually. So that itself is providing you a lot of feedback on the work progress. So the work progress is visually available to you. So these are the three things that provide you a feedback. Feedback loops are critical for ensuring the right product or service to the customer in the shortest possible time. And also, especially for the software, we have seen that acceptance testing and all those things can be made into a column which will provide the feedback to the users, from the users. Now we come to the final last one, that is improve collaboratively and evolve experimentally. So right from the first slide, we have said that Kanban is a method of improving the process, and this improvement has to come in an evolving manner. So Kanban method is an evolutionary improvement process, helping to adapt small changes and improve gradually at a pace and size that the team can handle easily. So always the capability or the capacity of the team is to be kept in mind, and therefore the improvement are not done in a drastic manner, but they are made in a very small incremental manner, in evolving manner. So, and how do they arise? Because we have got all those bottlenecks, the flow is happening, so visually we are able to get that cue that there is some problem, and also some idea can come up how to improve a certain process. So as the team is implementing agile principles, the key task is to evaluate the process constantly and improve continuously. So what we try to do is, within that Kanban, we try to implement the agile principle for the software. So a software is following the agile principle, and we are trying to use the Kanban method on it. So because the agile principle is also encouraging experimentation and improving continuously based on the feedbacks, so that also is mapping very well to the improve collaborative and evolve experimental practice of the Kanban method. So what we are trying to say here is that the Kanban method is also promoting evolutionary improvement, and the agile principle is also looking for evaluating and constantly improving. So they keep mapping each other very well. And using the data metrics, one can evaluate whether performance is improving or dropping. So once you have some process improvement ideas, you can again do the metrics evaluation and you can see whether it is better or it has gone worse. So how Kanban helps software development? Again, these are the kind of practices that we have written, and it is mapping to the software development, how it is doing it. So easier decision on changes is by visualizing. So visualizing is one of the practice. Work in progress limit is one of the practice. So it is trying to balance the resources, and it is giving, so obstacles and are eliminated. So there is a lot of stress on risk management and removing problems. So it's a lot of project management is coming here. Helps to manage the workflow. So metrics and reports are helping give insight to the team's performance and also the productivity. So looking at the workflow and managing the workflow, we can understand, we can discover patterns that create limitations on our productivity. So that is one, again, another management of the processes, very helpful for the software development. And supports problem solving and risk management. So that also we have a lot of issues and problems in the software, and also there are some risks. So these can be analyzed in a comprehensive and objective manner, and team members can come up with ideas and improvements, and these can be implemented and measured to see whether it is better or worse. Then it promotes collaboration and experimentation. So this is the final one that they practice, and this is also very suitable to the software, because evolutionary changes to software based on collaboration, we are also doing that, and feedback from the business users. So what we are seeing is that software development characteristics in the agile principle is matching with the Kanban practices. So therefore we feel that Kanban practices can help software development. So summarizing this lecture that we have discussed today, we have looked into the Kanban method, how it started as a concept of lean management, and how it can be applicable to the agile management. Kanban can be very suitable to the processes of DevOps, product development, and IT services, because they are also they follow incremental processes, incremental deliveries. For software development projects, it can be implemented along with the agile methods of incremental delivery such as Scrum and XP. So what we mean is that Kanban is a concept of process improvement, and Scrum is there as one agile implementation. XP is there is another agile implementation. So we can combine all the three. So we can use Kanban whenever we are using Scrum or XP. So why we feel like that? Why it is mapping like that? Why it is so suitable? Because Scrum provides the project management concepts, and XP takes care of technical activities. So XP and Scrum are actually complementing each other, that we have seen in the previous lessons also. Now when you do a Scrum of Scrums, that means you are doing many Scrums together. You are doing a group of set of projects by using Scrum method. Then Kanban will be very helpful. May not be in a single Scrum, but when you have Scrum of Scrums, then you have many work streams together. So there you need to have a visibility of what is happening. And when you need that visibility, you come to Kanban. So Kanban will help in streamlining and managing the process and the work item flow within the multiple Scrum teams. So now we have seen that how Kanban can become a part of the Kanban method can be become a part of the Agile method, and how it can be integrated with our Scrum as well as the XP. So I think you all have a very good idea now about the Agile methods, the Scrum method, the XP method, and also how Kanban helps us in managing our process, our work item flow, and also doing process improvements, reducing the WIP and making it streamlined. Thank you all. In the subsequent lectures, we will now discuss on some of the some of the other software engineering activities. So we have completed in the last few lectures, 5 or 6 lectures, we have completed the software process models, how they are developed, what are the different aspects they address. In the subsequent lectures, we will look into the other software engineering activities that is required to do the software development, and we will go in detail into it to understand what are the issues, what are the techniques, and what are the methods used there. Thank you all.